Hey everybody, what's going on? So today in this video, we're going to talk about fall lures that I like to use in the fall. Now this is not all of them. I will most likely end up making a part 2 of this video just because I can't fit all the baits in one video because a lot of people probably won't watch it because it'll be too long. But we're going to go ahead and go over, I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10 baits here. And I'll probably introduce another 10 tomorrow, just because there's a lot of baits that I will be going over. I'll probably end up making 2 videos, one today and one tomorrow. So, first thing we're going to go over is hard baits. Now, like I said, there will be a part 2, so if you don't see one of your favorite baits in this video, watch out for the second one because it'll probably be in that one. One of my favorite hard baits is some sort of glide bait. This here is a River to Sea S-Waver 168 in Warden color. I like this color. It's a very natural, it's a neutral bait color. I've made videos on this before. Neutral baits is a bait that you can use in a bluegill dominated baitfish lake or a shad dominated baitfish lake. If a lake has only shad, you can use this. If it only has bluegill, you can use this. That's what I really like about it, is it's a neutral color. So that there's a very good bait. I like that a lot. And I dropped that. I'll have to pick that up after the video. Next is for any ponds that have a lot of grass. If your pond has a lot of grass on it, this here is something I will normally throw, especially in the fall. I will normally only throw this color in the fall or in the spring, and that is white. And something else I'll do is I'll normally not trim the legs. I'll normally just leave the legs long like that. Or if I do any kind of trimming, I'll usually, as you can see, it's about a good 1/4 to 1/2 inch longer than the actual bait itself. I'll normally cut it right there at the nose of the bait. That'll be about the only trimming I do. I don't really trim it up real short like a lot of people do, just because I think it'll give it a bigger profile and some of the bigger fish will eat it. Next is probably one of my all-time favorite topwater baits and fall-time lures, just in general, and that is the Strike King Sexy Dog walking bait. It's a really good topwater bait. I like this bait a lot. It catches a lot of fish, and it catches some good ones as well. One of my biggest 5 fish limits came in 2017 on this, and it was in September. I think it was probably around 16 pounds, and it caught a lot of good sized fish. So that's a really good bait. Next, we'll go ahead and we'll go over some soft plastic baits. So we'll go over bottom baits first. One of my favorite bottom baits. Now this bait here is going to be used a ton of different ways. I'm going to use this thing weightless rigged, fish like a fluke. I'm going to fish this thing on the bottom. I'm going to fish this thing just about every other way you can. And that is the Dox Lure Company Gilnade. I have very high hopes for this bait this year, especially in the fall. I think the bigger fish are probably going to be hitting this thing very hard. Looks like a little dying bluegill and looks really good. Next is the Dox Lure Company Drop Shot Minnow. It's a little paddle tail bait, but the tail doesn't really kick a whole lot. Now something I've started doing with this is if I'm fishing on a place that gets a lot of pressure, from like people throwing big paddle tail swim baits, I'll take this and I'll fish it on a normal swim bait hook and I'll just slow roll it. I'm talking super slow. And that tail, being how it's kind of like a V-shaped, that tail has a very subtle side-to-side action. It is super effective. I've had bluegill and green sunfish hybrids come up and just nail this thing. Of course, I didn't hook them, but they came up and nailed this thing as hard as they can. It feels like a 3-pound bass hits it, but it's just a little bluegill. And big bass will hit this thing. I've watched about probably a 3 or 4 pounder come up and just eat this thing, and then when I went to set the hook, I missed it. I don't know how, but I did. And it's just a really subtle swimming action, and then just hook it weightless, and you can fish it just like you would a soft plastic jerkbait. Next is the slammer. Ah, darn it. Wouldn't be one of these videos if I didn't drop something. A slammer worm. I know, it's shocking, me talking about a slammer worm, but they work. 8-inch slammer worm right here in green pumpkin. 10-inch slammer worm right here in crystal shad. Now this is a big bait. These are both pretty good sized baits. As you can see, this one here is considerably bigger. It's a bigger bait, it's wider, it's fatter, and it's longer. It's a big bait. And bigger fish are going to tend to come after these bigger baits. And I'm really excited to fish this. So next we'll go ahead and talk about a moving bait. This one here is one of my personal favorite baits for this time of year. I caught probably, I think, two trips back in, I think it was October of 2016. And 2 different trips I caught 2 probably 15-pound limits on a white chatterbait just like this. I think this is a 3/8, if I remember correctly, 3/8 ounce chatterbait with a little 4-inch swim bait trailer. And I've caught a lot of fish on this, especially this time of year. I remember one time, this was back when I first got a chatterbait, and it was in the fall time. I went and I picked it up and I tied it on. I made a cast. I think it was my 3rd cast I made with it. I was sitting there and I was just slow rolling it right up under the surface, and I could see the bait. It was sitting there kicking back and forth, and all of a sudden I just see this mouth. And I'm going to say, judging by the size it looked to be, I'm going to say it was probably a good 5 or 6 pounder. Just come up and just went like this with its mouth and then just swam away. It didn't even hit the bait. And I right since then I knew that this was going to be a good bait, and I started fishing a lot more, and I caught a lot of fish using it. But that hurt a little bit. That hurt the pride a little bit, watching that giant fish come up there and then just swim away. But yeah, that happens sometimes, and it let me know that that bait was going to be a good bait, and I started fishing a lot more and started catching fish. So next is another bottom bait, but this here is a little bit different bottom bait than a lot of other people are used to. This is a jig, which is not very surprising. A lot of people like throwing jigs, but I got a giant trailer on it. This is a Doxer Company Gilnade on the back of it. The Gilnade is just an all-around good bait, and it looks really awesome on this jig. I've had a couple bites on it, a few bites, and they're probably pretty good sized fish. I just missed the hook set, or I just didn't set the hook in time. But it is a giant profile. It's nearly 6 inches long, just the jig and the trailer itself. It is a monster bait, but I think it's going to catch a monster fish. So like I said, that's it for this video. But like I said, there will be a part 2 of this video coming up soon. And if you guys do want that, have some suggestions. If you have some suggestions of baits that maybe I didn't feature in this video, let me know what your suggestions for favorite fall time bass fishing lures are, and I may include them in the next video. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Bye.